Hello, Chris from My Stamp Lady. I'm so glad you're here to stamp with me today. So I'm stamping with the Special Reason bundle today. And if you purchase this, it's in our Occasions catalog right now. That's available through May 31st. If you purchase the stamp set and the stylish stems framelits together, you'll get a 10% discount. I am also using the stitch shapes. Now I'm going to be using the smallest oval one, but it also comes with some squares, and the sparkle embossing folder. All of the dimensions and the sizes of the cardstock I'm using are available over on my blog. And you can see that I am using a 3x3 piece of Whisper White cardstock and 3 1/8 by 3 1/8 piece of Daffodil Delight, and that will be a matte. And then I have 2 pieces of 2 by 5 3/8 inch Calypso Coral cardstock that I will be using. This is a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece, and this is a 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 inch piece of Calypso Coral. In addition to that, now these sizes aren't exact because I'll be die cutting them, but this needs to be at least 3 by 3. Another Whisper White, Pear Pizzazz, and Soft Sky cardstock. This is going to be a gatefold card, so the first thing I'm going to do is bring in that Simply Scored, and this, it measures 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and I need to score each side. Gatefold means I'm going to fold it in the front and have that slit right here at 4 1/4 inches. So I'm going to score it at 2 1/8, and then I will come back 2 1/8 on this side, which comes to 6 3/8. And then I will be scoring that, and or folding that, and you'll see that it comes right to the center. So I can set this aside, and then I will fold that cardstock so that it comes to the center and make the gate fold, and then it'll close in the center. Okay, so the next step is I want to do some spritzing for my background, and because it needs to dry, I'm going to do that now. So I'm just going to get a piece of scrap paper here to protect my surface. And I've taken the Stampin' Spritzers and I filled it. This is actually crushed curry ink refill with rubbing alcohol, and this is Calypso Coral. I like to take my spritzer and check where the little spray nozzle is, and then kind of give it a spray. And I'm going to add some of that across the top, and then some of the crushed curry across the bottom. And it will even out a bit more after it dries. Oops, there we go. So I'm going to set this aside, give it some time to dry, and because it's mixed with rubbing alcohol, the ink refill, it will dry more quickly than if it was mixed with water. But I can just set that aside. So while that's drying, I'm going to get some of my next parts done, and the next step will be die cutting with those fabulous stylish stem dies. So let me pull those in. I need a large flower, and I want this detailed flower. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut out the detailed flower, and then I have another step with that. With the Pear Pizzazz, I need a detail and an open one, an open flower, and then I need the small. I want to do the same thing. I want to do a detailed flower and the small frame. So I'm going to run all of these pieces through the Big Shot to cut my pieces. Okay, so I've got these detailed ones cut out, and they are designed not to cut out of the cardstock. So I need one more step with those. I need to line up the outside ring, just like that, for both of these size flowers. And I do this by noticing that this has got a little flatter side here. So this is the side that I'm going to use to check that lining up. So once I've done this, I will run this through the Big Shot, and then I will have some die cut flowers with the detail. Okay, so the next step is I need to have these 2 pieces of Calypso Coral, and I would like to run these through the Big Shot with the sparkle embossing folder so that I could get a little bit of an embossed image on them, on these 2 pieces. So I'm going to just position these in here, and with the correct sandwich, run this through the Big Shot. So after I run these through the Big Shot, I'm just going to take my fast views and put a little adhesive down on here, and then both of these will get mounted onto that card flap, and this way I will have those flaps embossed. And I just did Calypso Coral right on top of the Calypso Coral to keep with the tone, the same tone. And we'll just place that one right on the side. Now I'd like to layer a couple of, I had cut out the piece of soft sky background and then the details. I had these retired little adhesive sheets, and I know that there are adhesive sheets out there. I'm not sure where, but I still had some of these from when Stampin' Up! Carried them before, and I'm just going to use those to layer these details over a solid one, just so that they'll show up a bit more. So I have that one, and I'm going to repeat and do that with the leaf. Now I should be able to pull in that spritzed piece and start working on that. So let's check if that's dried. Get this lined up first. I like having the solid, it'll just help pop that out a bit more. Oh, there's just one little corner here that still needs to dry a little bit. So I'm going to take my heat tool and dry that. First thing I do is I'm going to put down my leaf, and I'll put that about right there. And I'm going to pull back in that little adhesive sheet and get that out of there. That looks like I need a little more adhesive right there. And then I can position this. I'll put that about right there. And let's add the blue flower down here in this corner. So now I'm going to mount this onto a piece of Daffodil Delight, just a little mat for that. Then I'm going to wrap a piece of the length of the solid black baker's twine around that, just to give it a little bit of pop. Wrap that twice, and we'll just tie a bow on this left side. Once you have your bow how you want that to look, you can just trim down the ends. Pull this piece back in. So this is where I want to mount this focal piece. And with that, I am going to use dimensionals to pop it up on this left side. But I want to make sure that none of my dimensionals go over this midpoint, because I don't want to close my card. So I want to be sure to keep those dimensionals on that left side, on the left half of this card, this focal piece. Okay, so let's place that down there. And you'll notice when I pick it up, all of my dimensionals are under here and none here, so that my card will close. So I'm going to stamp a little bit for the inside, and the first thing I want to stamp is the sentiment. I'm using the Tuxedo Black, and the sentiment is, there's no special reason for this card. Then for the inside, I'm using Daffodil Delight, and I will stamp this small flower. So let's put that up here, and then the corresponding sentiment for that front one says, except to let you know how special you are. So we'll just pop that right in there, and this will be my inside. So let's pull that. First of all, I'm going to use that smallest oval from the Stitch Shapes and run that through the Bake Shop. Let's put this on the card front, and I want to pop that up so it's not like pressed down and folded over that edge of the twine. So what I do is I cut, and I decided to cut even the smaller ones here. I cut some of these smaller pieces of the dimensionals and place that along the bottom here. So just these very narrow edges, and that way it won't stick onto the twine. It's reading the right way. So there's the front. For the inside, place that down. There we go. And you have a gatefold card with the Special Reason bundle. If you have any questions about this card, don't hesitate to contact me, Chris, at mystamplady.com. And you can find all the supplies at shopwithmystamplady.com. And go to the blog to find printable directions, mystamplady.com. Thanks for watching.